Welcome to part 2 of Is Your Relationship with Exercise Disordered? Maybe I should call this series Fix Your Fitness. So today I really want to talk to you about flexibility. What does that look like for you? Are you able to be flexible with your movement? There's many ways, especially if you are endurance athletes, that we can be flexible. So we can be flexible with duration, with pacing, with scheduling. I'm not even at cognitive flexibility yet, but if our schedules get crazy, maybe we need to change the duration of our exercise. And actually another way in which we might need to be flexible is lots of folks struggle to figure out when to put strength training and or something like movement. I often, let's say, do a yoga for runners class after I finish running. I will cut my run a few minutes short to do that because my body feels much better if I give it some time to do some active stretching afterwards. And if I have to cut a run out of my week, I'll do that because strength training is important for my bones as well as my running economy, but to keep my body safe, right? So flexibility with scheduling. How do you fit everything in? Often something has to go. Can you handle that? Can you tolerate that? So I do want to remind you that movement should not add stress to your life. It should support your life. It should not stress your life. If movement is creating a stress for you, that is one way we might need to investigate and say something needs to change here. So flexibility, back to flexibility, pacing. You feel real tired. You've made it outside, whether you're a cyclist, a runner, a swimmer, maybe you don't need to push that hard. Even if you're in like just a fitness class around the corner from your house and you're not an endurance athlete, you might not need to push that. If you feel really fatigued, don't push as hard as you always push when you don't feel fatigued. This is one way we respond to our body's internal cues, and it's another way which we show our body we know how to keep ourselves safe. So we react to the stress in our body by taking care of our bodies, which helps our entire nervous system respond to stress differently. But also, it shows that we can be flexible and that our relationship to movement is not controlling us. Duration, we already talked about. Sometimes you just need to change it. Okay, here's the tricky one. Rest days. Do you need to take a rest day? Unplanned. Maybe. I'm going to get back there though. So there's also cognitive flexibility. Can I leave my watch at home so I can respond to how my body is feeling when I do XYZ exercise? Again, I'm a runner. If you're here, you're more than likely a runner. So can you leave your watch at home and just respond to how your body's feeling? You could also take your watch with you, cover it with tape, put it in your pocket, whatever. That's another way in which we can show some flexibility and embodiment and attunement to our body. The cognitive flexibility piece comes in when we decide we're not defining ourselves by what we have run, whether that is distance, whether that is pacing, or whether that is time or elevation. Some folks are real caught up on elevation. We don't have to make any meaning of the fact that we're fatigued, that our body needed something different today than we may have planned it to do. So the cognitive flexibility comes in there. The cognitive flexibility often also comes in, this is a big one, right? That your watch says you ran, 5.96 miles. Can you just stop when you get home, or do you need to run circles around your block? I'm not making a judgment either way. I understand the desire to have even numbers, and I understand that when your body is like, oh, I'm done, that those even numbers are more detrimental to your physical and mental health than they are beneficial. They're really never beneficial, but like then calming that sort of part of you that wants everything to look neat and clean. That's a really good exercise, actually. If you can just finish a run, either instead of running 45 minutes, you run 43 or 47, or 44 minutes and 33 seconds. Or instead of running 6 miles, you run 5 point something something or 6 point something that you didn't really plan. That's a really good way to teach your body that all of this data doesn't define you, and that you can still take care of the needs that your body is telling you, the signals it's giving you. There's lots of ways to be flexible. So I'm going to get back to this rest day idea. Are you really tired? Have you, for the last few days, tried to pay attention to that fatigue? Maybe you don't do what you have planned and you do something more gentle. Maybe you don't even do the exact movement you have planned, you do something more gentle, and then you still feel fatigued. And you decide, okay, something's really off. So what do? You take a rest day. Hopefully you are at the place where you have scheduled rest days. If you don't, then actually don't even keep watching. You need to have scheduled rest days into your week, every single week, no fail. Our bodies need downtime, period. Our brains need downtime. Our nervous system needs downtime. Every single aspect of us as a human being needs some downtime. That is true regardless of what your weekly mileage is or how many fitness classes you go to or whatever your activity is, you need some downtime. So responding to exhaustion is really important. If your body is giving you a signal that it's tired, you might wake up, you might have tried something yesterday and it didn't work. You might have even taken a rest day yesterday and you still feel really tired. An unplanned rest day is one of the best ways that we can take care of ourselves. If you're someone who exercises in the morning, sometimes rest days are easier because you just sleep that extra hour or hour and a half or whatever it is, right? But if you're someone who doesn't exercise in the morning, rest days can be trickier. And if you're someone who exercises in the morning, but your nervous system feels like anxious if you don't move, then rest days are really tricky, and we just need to train our bodies. The best thing about this sport in so many ways is that we can create new neural pathways at all times. So we put ourselves as athletes under stress and we respond to it, right? So rest days are the same thing. You can create new responses to rest days by practicing taking rest days. Isn't that amazing? If you followed me for a long time, then you know that I'm a big advocate for a rest day basket. What is that? So in my rest day basket, I put a few things to remind me of things that I should be doing on a rest day. So here's what they are. One of them is a recovery tool. Now, I have several recovery tools. This is just one that I like to use near my desk. Sometimes I can use it while I'm writing notes or on a phone call. And it just reminds me in general to look at the other recovery tools I have in my house. Although I do recommend, I love this thing. I put a book in here. I'm a Kindle reader, but my sister-in-law wrote this book. I also highly recommend it. But having a book is a good idea to remind me like, oh, I have some downtime. Go get my Kindle, read the book. I often do that anyway, but hey, journal. I love writing in a journal. If you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I'm a big believer in paper to pen. So I have a journal and a pen, and I just write whatever I'm thinking about. Fidgets. I love a fidget. I always am playing with something in my hands. I really love this one. What else do I keep in here? This is a new thing that I've been working with. Sorry if you're not a woman, but this might be TMI. As a woman who's given birth to two children, I do a lot of pelvic floor exercises for my weak and seemingly very stubborn pelvic floor. And so recently I was gifted this, which is a great Kegel exercise support system. But I keep this box in my basket to remind myself to go do my pelvic floor exercises, which also helps me remind me to do some of my other PT exercises. Sometimes I'll keep nail polish or something in there. I think my daughter has stolen all my nail polish right now, but I keep things in there that remind me to relax. What is the other thing I have in there? I'll show you. Obviously, I have my coloring book. So this is a new one. This is the coloring book that I came out with this year. This one's not colored in. This is I love this book, but also this is a book that I can sit and do every day. Really, I have these around my house, but there's runner's affirmations in here. And also it's just a way to sit down and do something. Like a lot of times our nervous system is used to doing a lot of activity. So there is this undercurrent of kind of static energy that we do want to release, which often makes it hard for folks to have rest days. That's very real. But again, you can create new neural pathways to that energy by responding to it differently. So respond to it by doing something calm and still taking care of your body. I work with lots of folks who will say things like, oh, I tried to take a rest day. It was so hard. F it. I ended up going and walking my dog for 3 hours. That is not a rest day. What we want you to do is find activities to calm your nervous system and respond differently to that internal feeling of really needing and wanting to do something. Doing some gentle stretching, some gentle yoga. Definitely take your dog for a reasonably timed walk. I often go for like a short bike ride with my kids, mostly to frozen yogurt, but respond to the stimuli by not giving in to the desire to exercise. As I said on my first recording for this series, responding to nervous energy and feelings only by exercising really is a sign of a disordered relationship with exercise and really is a place to begin working on that relationship. So this is a great thing to do, coloring. There's a lot to be said about what happens in your brain when you're doing continuous exercise that is similar to what happens in your brain when you're coloring. It creates a little bit of a flow state. You can tune out other distractions. So this is also a plug for my coloring book, which you can find on Amazon, a rest day basket. So can you take rest days? This is where I want you to really think about being flexible, because the other thing is that running injuries and overuse injuries often happen when we ignore our body's signals that it is being overused. Overuse injuries are hard to identify sometimes because life stress contributes to a lot of what happens in our ability to rest in general, to take care of ourselves in general. So what may be overuse one season may be very different in a different season of life when your life is busier and more stressful. So we have to calm down a little bit and sink into the system that we are living in and in our bodies and listen to it. So unplanned rest days is such an important component of a healthy relationship with exercise. If you are someone who has a coach programming exercises or a training plan for you, and that coach doesn't recommend that you take spontaneous rest days when you feel tired, hire a new coach. I can definitely give you some excellent names. But also, you may not need to communicate with your coach. They should just be supportive and go like, good for you that you rested. Rest is essential. I always tell my athletes and my clients that we can't build anything without a strong foundation, and sleep and nutrition are at the bottom of the foundation. Without those things, nothing serious can really happen and be sustainable. So think about your relationship to what your body is telling you. Can you respond flexibly? That, again, that might just mean changing your pace, changing the day you were going to do a long run or a hard workout, or it might mean taking a few days off so that you can complete the season that you're in. Think about when you're struggling to take a few days off, that it is much better to rest for a few days than to be knocked out by an injury. Often those things really do go hand in hand. So I hope you give that some thought. I'm really curious to hear what you put in your rest day basket. Comment here, share this, comment on my IG, send me a DM. Let me know, because I bet you have some ideas to go in your rest day basket that I haven't thought of. Looking forward to hearing from you.